Hey, Zach at the 91X Flophouse out at Coachella, and I've got the rhythm section of Glass Animals with me, Joe and Edmund. What's happening, guys?
Yeah, I'm very good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. This is the first time I've been to Coachella, so it's been ever.
Wow. What do you think?
I think it's massive and intense and exhausting and magical all in the same. If that can even be a possibility, that's Coachella, right?
I think it's a fairly accurate description of it.
How many times for you guys?
Two. This is our second time, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's
We feel
just
like
just
experts now.
it's so different to English festivals. It literally could not be any more different if it tried. It's amazing.
How is it different? It's just not. Doesn't feel like just another festival.
It's so perfect.
There's no mud.
There's no mud. There's no like chaos. English festivals are chaos. Stuff is burning. People are on fire. Raves everywhere. It's
There's
kind
lots
of
nude mud bathing goes on in Glastonbury and that kind of thing.
So we'd be right at home in a festival in the UK if we ran down and jumped in the water hazard like I suggested.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, totally. That would be absolutely acceptable. It's very sophisticated, I think, Coachella. Very, very sophisticated.
Yeah, almost too sophisticated, but they do it well.
Yeah, I think they do. It's pretty fun to hang out there, but it's quite surreal, I think.
So the album How to Be Human Being, it's very much based on stories you guys have been told and characters you've met on the road on your travels. You've been at Coachella all weekend. There has to be some stories you've heard or characters you've met here in the past few days.
Yeah, you had a crazy Uber driver, didn't you?
Oh my god, yeah, I did.
Tell us about it.
I had erased him from my memory.
Oh,
Actually,
no.
he was just a wild man who started telling us a story about he was a performer. He said, and he started advising Dave, our singer, on how to overcome stage fright, which was quite funny in itself. But then he was telling us about his wife, who was also a singer, and started playing us YouTube videos of her singing, and then told us after all of this that he was deaf. So it was kind of like he went off on this like sort of half an hour long story about being a performer and singing and all of these things, and he was just like, I can't hear anything, like at all.
He lived in his car as
He
well.
did also live in his car.
And he had a wife. That didn't quite figure.
The whole thing was odd.
It's bizarre. I knew there had to be something. They come out of the woodwork, I think, here, don't they?
They definitely do. But I mean, it was great. I was very entertained for half an hour. I had a great time. But it was definitely extraordinary.
It was a bit of a one-sided conversation, right? And then it all made sense in the end when he revealed that he's deaf.
No, that was definitely the twist at the end. I mean, I was already kind of finding it difficult to believe very much that he was saying, and then there was the twist of I'm deaf, and then I didn't really know what to think anymore.
Had you picked up a bass long before Glass Animals, or were you inspired to pick it up?
I started playing the bass maybe when I was 13. We were at school together and...
I remember it very well. He used to play the bass very loudly next to my head. System of a Down, mainly.
Yeah, I was into all sorts of stuff. I used to love Flea and Red Hot Chili Peppers and Jaco Pastorius and all sorts of stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you've got a fretless at home, Jocko-style fretless you set up and jam on?
I should get an old one and pull frets off like him and make one. Yeah.
You guys could do like a in the middle of your set working kind of homage to Jocko if you set that up. That might be fun. I mean,
Dave would kill us.
I would be so down. I think that'd be very fun. Go off on a
15-minute jam.
well, you don't know because the sound, your guys' sound is progressing, developing organically. It's not contrived at all. You've got the foundation of groove to do it, I think.
Yeah, I think we might have to have a chat with Dave before we go any further down this path. But yeah, no, I'm up for it. I don't think it's very likely, but in the near future, probably.
Okay. Not in the okay. But you guys do groove. I mean, your groove is so unique, and I talk about that every time I play your tracks, and that's why I'm glad the rhythm section showed up today, because I'm wondering if you guys sit down and kind of jam on grooves when you're thinking about laying down the foundations of a track, or if a lot of that stuff happens in programming and sequencing, and then you kind of transfer those grooves over to instruments when you go back to lay them down.
Yeah, well, we don't play with any click track or backing tracks, so right. It is very live. It kind of moves around. The tempo's always changing whilst we're playing. Well, a little bit,
depending on our mood.
Yeah, exactly.
Mainly. Yeah.
So we kind of try to have that live feel, even though a lot of the stuff is programmed. Yeah, and you spend a lot of time trying to undo perfect things rather than make things perfect. So I mean, that's kind of what we're trying to do.
That works way better live, I think, because a lot of bands try to make things perfect and replicate the recording and all the studio work, and if you can't do it, it falls so short of a compelling performance. But if you don't even try to do that and you just have fun playing and do the best you can, which I think is what you guys do for the most part, then it transmits beautifully live.
I mean, it changes every day. That's the thing that's interesting to me about it, is that the show, even if we played the same songs in the same order every day, which we don't always, I would get very bored if it was just identical every day. And like the freedom to, I don't know, feel things. Sometimes one of us will be tired, or someone will be like really excited, or we'll all be very excited, and the energy and the tempo can affect the music, and that's really exciting, I think. And if we're feeling excited, that tends to mean that crowds, as an audience member, if someone's looking excited, it's much easier to sort of join in than if you're looking at people who are kind of stiff and bored. If you see what I mean.
Have you encountered audiences that are kind of stiff and bored and tried to find that one person who's excited about it, kind of play to them, and then the whole energy transmits and nobody's stiff and bored anymore?
Well, back in the day we played plenty of empty rooms with a couple of people.
Of course.
And you only need one person to be going nuts, and then everyone has a good time. So that's really the thing. I remember we played a show in Bristol once. There was like 5 people there, but one of them was going absolutely crazy, just standing at the front, just like losing his shit.
He's actually quite a famous. Well, I say famous. He's quite well known. He's this guy who just goes to all of the shows. Yeah. And it's like I genuinely would hire him and take him on tour, because he can turn a room into a dance party. He goes to like every single show, all the time. Every day he will be at a show, and like small shows to massive shows, and he stands at the front, and he's like 6'7",
Really
and he has this massive like white shock of hair, and he stands there and just goes for it every single time, and it's infectious. Like, it's a really infectious thing, which is really fun.
Does he show up? Does he have a crew, or he just shows up solo to every show?
Yeah, he's a lone ranger, definitely.
I think just about every town has that person. I went to school in Bellingham, and there was this woman who would show up to every show with earplugs and hearing protection. She was such a character, and she would walk in the door. She didn't drink. She was there for the music, and she would just groove all night long anywhere there was live music any night of the week.
Yeah, it's wicked. I mean, it makes a huge difference, especially when you're playing to like 10 people in the middle of nowhere. To have one person going for it kind of gives you the energy. Yeah, completely.
Some bands have taken those characters on tour with them from different towns.
Well, I mean, we should maybe Big Jeff. His name's Big Jeff.
Do you know the guy's name?
Yeah, he's good. I mean, he's a famous dude. Like, he's well known in the right
he's got
circles.
A lot of Twitter followers.
Yeah,
he's
called Big Jeff.
He gets into all the concerts for free because all the bands want him to go, because he's such a sort of presence.
Yeah, he goes to all of the festivals too. You can spot him a mile off. Yeah.
Big Jeff. I gotta follow Big Jeff on Twitter and see where he's at, see what he's up to, because he'll also know where to go. If you are like, where exactly is this?
I think he'll probably be employed. He probably is like employed by some like record company, being an A&R guy. Wherever he is the place to be normally.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about where to go out any given night of the week, you just check out Big Jeff on Twitter, see where he's at, and that's the spot.
Yeah, exactly.
So I talked about how naturally your sound is progressing and developing as Glass Animals. Are there any sonic realms you expect to explore on I mean, I hate to talk about the next album already, but are there like any instruments vintage stuff you've been geeking out on, or other ways you've been thinking about exploring sonic possibilities of things that might just sound massive live, so you're going to go that direction, or other instruments you've been picking up and noodling around on that you're enjoying playing more?
I've been taking a lot of notes from Ed Sheeran recently. I don't know, but Ed's building a modular synth at the moment, so we might go Cynthia, possibly.
Reggaeton synth album.
It'll be a dub album?
Yeah, certainly.
What are you building?
Oh, it's just a tour project.
Does it have a name?
It is just a load of synth modules. Yeah.
That you're just kind of crafting? It's something you're crafting?
Yeah, it's like following instructions. It's like IKEA, but soldering.
Yeah, I think I got to come geek out at your place and talk Jaco and bass and modular synths, and I mean, we could get some banter going on that right now, but the stiff bored crowd, you've talked about finding place to place. That's what will happen. That's the direction we'll go with this, if we start getting some banter on that.
You'll probably lose me within about 3 minutes, I think.
All right, we're here out at the 91X Flophouse, Coachella, Glass Animals. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Not at all. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Cheers.
Later.